Hey, do you have a recommended brand of shaker bottle?
There's so many. Um, the one I use now is actually, well, funny, it's from Huel.
That
How
one
do you
does work very well.
how do you spell that?
Yeah, Huel. You actually get a free shaker bottle from Huel if you just buy literally anything from them, pretty much.
Now you
Like
probably
they
need to
just
buy
give
one
you
of
a
the
free
protein
one.
powders.
Yeah, maybe. I just know you get like a free t-shirt and shaker, I think, on first subscription for something like that.
Yeah, I'm looking for something I can get off Amazon.
I would not go with blender bottle though.
Okay, good to know because that's one of the ones that keeps coming up.
Yeah, don't do that. It's a it's a mistake.
Have you ever tried Velamix?
Is that the electric one?
No, it looks like it's a wire um shape that is, it's just a regular shaker bottle.
Hmm. No, I've not heard of that one then. I know there's one that's electric that has a starts with a V. Who slacked me? Oh, get out of my life.
I think the two things that make the Huel one really good. I mean, one of them you could check for it and before buying it, but another one is like what you never know. But the thing, it's got something in the middle of it that breaks it up even more and helps mix in. I mean, what are you getting? Are you getting it for protein shakes, Spons?
Yeah, yeah, I do like a scoop of vanilla protein in the morning.
Yeah, as long as it's got, I don't even know, it's like a filtered plastic part that when stuff goes through it, it helps break it up more so it can mix more evenly and more thoroughly. It kind of just looks like a puzzle that just goes right. It's at the top of the bottle, but it could be anywhere in there just to help the stuff move through it and break apart more. And the other thing is just that it doesn't leak ever, but you can never tell if something's going in unless you read every review on there, but half of them are probably fake anyways.
Hmm.
Yeah, the Huel one is nice. Not only that, the bottle is shaped so that what Cameron was talking about, the sifter is directly at the top of the cup, but then they have like an added element to it that you can screw on. That's pretty much leak proof. That adds like an extra amount of room to the thing, and then they have a rubber top, which is super nice. And
I don't have that middle part you're talking about that screws on, but I have the rest.
Is it like a pill shaped thing?
It is a pill shaped thing.
Okay, so that's the one that came up as like the top one here. It's like $30 on Amazon though.
If you go to Huel, you can buy their protein powder for $30 and get it for free with it.
yeah,
But I already
so you
have
don't have the
the
little black like
protein
nozzle at
powder.
the top that you screw on with the rubber top.
Yeah, I have the little rubber cap part that goes on the top. So it's the bottom white part, the filter part, and then the top of the bottle, like the top part of the pill, which is black, and then the little top that screws
Yeah,
on.
yeah, that's what I was talking about. The top of the pill.
Oh, you made it sound optional, but I would not recommend shaking it without that top on because that filter ain't stopping.
No, no, I wasn't saying shaking it with it. I was just saying it's like nice because sometimes you can just like get more of your drink out of it, or like if you don't want to use it, you can just use the cup. Like some blender bottles are literally just one piece.
Oh,
Yeah.
also One Piece, nice.
And another thing I hate in a lot of blender bottles is they have the like little metal ball for to help like mix the shake, but that little ball is like a clump factory. Like it does not do its job.
Mm.
It's supposed to sift and it just clumps.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see a couple that have that. A lot,
I've had bad luck with all of them that have that little metal ball in it.
like 80% of them.
You're supposed to do your job, but instead you became the very thing you swore to destroy.
Uh,
You were supposed to stop the clumps, not join them.
Exactly.
Welcome to A4NB4Y, the Zelda themed podcast that's currently deep diving into Zelda, the Minish Cap. This is episode 2. And I'm looking for a co-host. Can I get a co-host? Can I get a oh, we have one in the back, one in the yellow shirt over there, one in the back.
Pick me. Yeah.
Yes, you, go ahead. Yes, you.
I'm Brian Fonzie, and I'm a hard-boiled egg.
Beautiful. Can I get $20 on a hard-boiled egg?
And I'm Anthony, and I'm a cold Waikia Hawaii blend, Moana Mocha. It's a Hawaiian volcanic coffee that melts in your mouth. Cold brew cream, organic cane sugar. Now you can't get any better than that for only 70 calories.
Pair it with hard-boiled eggs.
You heard it here, folks. We're going to start that one off at 75. Did you hear all that stuff he just lifted? I didn't.
This is not an ad.
Whatever price you just said plus a penny.
Totally an ad. Oh, so we have 75.01.
Oh, I have a half penny.
That's not money. Get him.
Oh,
Can't get him out of this auction.
imagine. Someone's like offering you and is, like trying to bet against you, and he just like has literally half a penny, physically half a penny. And the guy's like, oh, just take it, half a penny. We have 75.01 and a half. Let's go.
Okay.
Do I hear 75.02?
Just runs with it. Can I get 75 and 2 3/4?
I got a spare button.
75.02 and a button.
It technically has monetary value. We'll accept it.
Oh, goodness.
You could fix a sweater with that. Come on now.
Welcome to the non-intro first real section of the Minish Cap.
We're there.
We're there. We got Eslo. We're on our way through the woods. I think that's where we left off. And there's not a whole lot of exploring to do, but you can test the waters if you want. And by that, I mean if you fall into a puddle, you find out that Link can't swim when he's
Puddle
tiny.
swamp of doom.
But no surprise, he couldn't swim when he was big. But also, there's like ankle deep water that he could walk across when he was big. He can't do it when he's little.
I'd like to see him drown in that ankle deep water when he's big. Oh my God, help. I'm drowning. As I was like, Link, just stand up.
But yeah, guys, we venture through the woods and we come up to our first encounter with Yon Minish.
I felt like Flick from A Bug's Life.
Right? When you get the actual zoomed in sections. Because when you first shrink, you like walk outside and then you're just like literally 5 pixels on the screen.
But I mean, you do get the zoomies. Link shouldn't be moving that fast at that size. I wish he moved that fast on the overworld.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That'd be nice. He needs to get Epona in this one.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, no, you get through the woods pretty quick as your little 5 pixel guy. You have to do some platforming on some lily pads, kind of.
I fell in the water twice.
There you go.
Oh, no.
I couldn't get on it, man.
And we make our way to the Minish village, where we are immediately surrounded by, I don't know, let's just say 8 Minish.
Wait, the GIF is in Discord.
You sent
It
a gift
is.
to us in the private chat.
I don't see nothing.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, and then they start dancing.
5 and a button.
5 and a button. Well, yeah, they all jump up and down and they say like Pico Picori or something. Like they have their own little language.
Picoco,
Yeah.
Picocori.
Piket.
Pico. Toco Pico.
Also,
Any combination of T, Po, and Ki, they'll just spout out whenever you try to talk to them at this point. Because we don't know their language. Turns out
I guess that's how they got their name, the Picori, though, because they say a lot of Picori.
Yeah. It's like they named him like Pokemon.
Pretty
way back in the
much.
day.
All this thing says is Pikachu. What should we call it? I don't know.
They call themselves the Minish. Do they, though? Those
In their
aren't
language,
syllables
they do.
that they use.
It's a very complex and subtle language.
Picori.
What were you about to say, Mayo? Before.
So they have little red caps. They look like little garden gnomes. And I was like, oh, they're cute. It's fine. It's a cool little design. Then I looked down and I was like, why they got demon tails, though?
They definitely have tails that look like they're like dragon paintbrushes behind them.
Yeah. It's a little triangle point. Kind of looks like a little like lizard demon tail, like they can like harpoon somebody with. I'm like, what design choice was this? Like,
Yeah,
are they going to turn evil?
They're all dragons, bro.
They're like little
Oh.
lizard people.
Okay.
Lizard people confirmed.
It's like they're in Florida and they just got small. There's lizards everywhere down here.
Mayo living with the Picori.
Not many people know this, but the world that the Minish came from through the portal was actually just Florida.
Just one bush in Florida. Whole game.
Oh, that's great.
So the Minish village is set in a little clover patch. I mean, they got a boot, they got a barrel, they got pretty much whatever was left in this clover patch to use for housing.
They got mushroom houses.
They do have.
They do.
Yep. I believe there's a boot full of blue mushrooms that one of them just chilling in. And Eslo, after hearing the Picoria first, makes a comment that even he is struggling with their dialect a little bit. So I guess Eslo does speak some form of Minish, but not this group fluently, which was an interesting thing for him to say. But he recommends trying to find somebody who basically speaks common if you were to use D&D speak. So we wander about. You can talk to the other Minish, but they're not gonna have anything
Pico,
to really tell you. Yeah. Until you find. I mean, I think there's even an elder in the village. I didn't talk to him before I learned.
I did. He did Picori.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But if you do venture over to the Abbey, which is actually like the entryway into the northern shrine, which we'll get to later, you can meet this dude, Festari. Festari is the watcher of the Abbey and the shrine to the north.
What a bro.
And he pretty much outright is like, oh man, like we haven't seen a human here in a while. Like, oh, it seems like you're struggling with our language a bit. I would recommend using a jabbernut. And he sends us to the barrel house.
Jabbernut?
Where we can get the jabbernut. It's kind of funny how fast this takes place and how it's just a random fetch quest.
Yeah, how this is. Oh, you need to speak our language? We got a nut for that. Like, wait, what? I'm sorry.
Yeah, just eat it, bro. Just eat it.
Just some more world building. My favorite is when you actually go over to the jabbernut. It looks like the head of a red Pikmin, basically.
Yeah.
And Link picks it up and holds it up in the air, and the text box comes up and says, "You ate the jabbernut." And I'm like, he's still holding it. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he never ate it.
No.
It was a suppository.
Guy. Right. So now we can speak the language of the Minish, or at least we can understand it. I mean, I don't know if Link speaks in this one. I don't think I've gotten a dialogue option yet, so it's still inconclusive.
No, I highly doubt it. I would be willing to put some money on that not being a thing.
I mean,
What's up?
he's got to,
yelling
right?
is not talking.
No, he's got to, right? I mean, how does he have a friendship with Zelda? Was he just a mute his whole life? I mean, maybe it fits since she just kind of drags him everywhere.
They just
He's
couldn't.
got to.
They couldn't animate the hand signs, you know.
Oh, jeez. Didn't have the budget.
Link speaks with sign language.
He does, yeah. Confirmed. You heard it
You
here.
gotta sign this sword.
Guys. So now that we can speak Minish, there is some new Minish lore to be had. Some new lore just dropped, right? So we go around town. A few things you can learn. One, Minish claims that the Elder said humans can no longer see us as they once could, and he's pretty impressed that Link can see them. So already there's like, okay, so 100 years ago, could they just not see you, or have they not been able to see you for, like it's just randomly, like you're gonna learn stuff that the humans don't know about the Minish from kind of their perspective of how things have been going.
Like how there's Minish living in Hyrule Town?
Right. Yeah. So one person mentions that there are Minish actually all over the place, including Hyrule Town, and is like super excited about that. One of them's even considering moving.
He's like, I think it's time to wrap up and head into the city life. Or maybe I'll give them mountains a try. And I'm like, what is this? A country western?
Basically. There's one that mentions that the ancient Minish came to this world through a portal and settled in these woods. And I was like, okay, but what about the ones that went to Hyrule Town? And what about the ones that went to the mountains? Like, were you the first Minish, like, settled in the woods and then you spread from there? Or did you come up somewhere else? He doesn't explain any of that. He just says they came over to this
from
world
Florida.
through a portal from
obviously.
Florida. Settled in the woods. The Floridian Minish.
There you go. It is a swamp.
Yeah.
So I learned about kitten stones from the dude in the barrel house. I remember that conversation. The dude's like, yeah, us Minish just kind of leave these little kitten stones everywhere just for you little humans to get your fingers on, get happiness and lucky and stuff like that. And he's like, you learn about that. And I was like, will I?
Is that the same one that says that the Minish love to make humans happy, or it's like what fuels them? And they're like, but don't tell the humans. It's like, but I am a human.
Yeah.
Joke's on you. Also, I don't tell anybody anything.
He knows Link is people.
So you're good. One person mentions how there's been more monsters lately, which is a pretty standard Zelda thing to have happen. Monsters always be popping up when Link is needed. And then somebody mentions that Master Malari and his 7 apprentices live in the mountains, and they're the ones who are most likely to be able to fix the sword that you have. So one of these no-name Picori just randomly sees that you're carrying the sword and is like, oh, you want to fix that? All right, cool. You're going to have to go to the mountains. Here's a whole backstory on a character you haven't even heard of before. It's like, all right.
Right.
Cool.
Just beats the Elder to the punch.
Right. So then, before I went back to Vistari, I actually did go to the Elder. And the Elder says the same thing, basically, except with more detail. So in order to repair our blade, we're going to need the 4 crystalline elements to reforge the sword. So he knows where they all are, puts them all on your map for you, and specifically tells you that the earth element can be found in the northern shrine. So, we have to go back to Vistari either way. Before we go to Vistari, did you guys find the heart piece in town?
You bet I did.
No.
Do you want to know where it is?
It's probably in the middle of some plants.
Yeah, basically. So you know how like there's that gateway to the northern shrine, like the abbey, right? Before you go inside, walk all the way to the right, and there's a little boardwalk that leads out to a free heart piece.
Dang it. I'm at exactly 1 heart piece to actually get another heart, too.
Yeah, I left this section with 5 full hearts. It was
Dang it.
Guys,
What's
before I sound like an imbecile to the listeners on my take on the Picori, I posted what they actually look like, blown up in non-pixels, and the tails ain't demons, but it's a feather. I've been mistaken and lied to.
Oh, because they came from the sky, maybe.
Yeah.
The skies of Florida.
The skies of Florida.
And it looks like they got 4 toes, kind of like bird feet.
Oh, yeah.
Bird/monkey feet.
Mm-hmm.
Basically,
That's the official
he's
cover art
just-
from the wiki, by the way.
Yeah, he's just a little guy. Is
He's
what
just
he
a
is.
little guy. Mm-hmm.
Permanently blushing.
I like how this one's carrying a clover for additional cover wherever he happens to be.
See, that's just that blushing Cameron. That's just the happiness that he made humans. That's just
the
all the
Aw.
happiness he's fueled from.
Aww. Actually, it straight up looks like his hand is out, like he's checking if it's still raining, and he's using the clove as an
umbrella.
The clover as an umbrella. Yeah,
Yeah, it's true.
and he's looking up into the sky. It's kind of cute. But nobody else can see it.
Raindrop would be devastating to this man.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even. Oh no.
He's checking for rain, but if there is rain that's gonna hit his hand, it's probably gonna mess his whole arm up. Probably not the safest way to check.
Get to the barrel! It's the rain!
Yeah.
Also, fun fact trivia for this episode for fans. Apparently, the developers of the game had two other names that made it past the first, almost midway through development of the game for the name of the Minish. And it was apparently called, and I'm so glad they went with Minish, Chilorians. Which just sounds like a Spanish, like in like chalupa or something. Chilorian. And tiny people. Just teensy tiny people.
I was gonna make a joke and say little people. It's like the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Minish is just diminished, right? It's just a little. They're mini people, right? So it's not even far from what they did. They're mini, so they're the Minish. It's a whole thing. And they just made it sound, like this is a fantasy species.
It is. Look at him.
Yeah, I know, right? He's a little elf dude. He's basically a sprite.
Find him in Florida.
Carried on the winds of Florida.
There's not many winds here unless there's a hurricane. Apparently, there's a manga for the Minish Cap as well that was written a while ago. And apparently the writer of the manga, Akira Himikawa, wrote in all of the language versions, so Japanese, German, French, and Italian and English. He wrote the Minish speak backwards. So it's basically English, but backwards in reverse. And that's true for all languages. Yeah, so you can still understand what they're saying, but you kind of have to like turn the page like, how do I read this? You got to figure it out. It's a puzzle. I think it was kind of cool.
That is kind of cool. I haven't gotten too far into any of the mangas. I know we went over the one in our Link to the Past season.
But why not Latin?
But why not ancient Aramaic?
Or Sanskrit?
The Legendary Edition manga apparently came out in 2017. Oh, it's not as far back as I thought.
Okay, so
getting back on track.
Yeah, manga aside, we go back to Fastari, and he lets us know, like he lets us into the northern shrine. He just says the shrine to the north. He's like, "Oh, you're heading into the shrine. All right, cool. Just be careful. There's monsters." And you go in, and then we get a title card for the Deepwood Shrine, which is where Eslo told us that humans and Picori used to meet. Which is interesting because this doesn't look like a good meeting place. It does look standout, I will say. Like, it actually looks like a tiny building. So even if you were like regular size, you could identify that as a human, I guess. But it doesn't look like there's like a spot for a human to sit or talk to a Minish or anything like that. So I'm guessing these meetings took place with shrunken humans, maybe. Not really sure. The lore is unclear. But
the human just kind of like leans over. Hey, what's up, buddy?
I mean, there's two benches on the outside of it.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, I'm looking at the picture now, like where the Chu like jumped in to the garden. There's like two benches on the outside where you enter.
Well,
Wow,
So-
maybe they did have meetings there like that. Then.
Yeah.
Just big and small. All right. I'm
Attention to
stand corrected.
detail is legit.
I know I didn't see the benches when I was watching the
Me
cutscene.
neither.
I was focused on the enemy. But we did talk about that enemy later. We're not there yet. So, when we first get into this place, Eslo offers to wait behind while we go through, and he's like, "Oh, never mind. I don't want to do that because he can't move, right?" So he gets back on Link, and you guys just continue on your way. And this is the Deepwood Shrine, and it is fantastic, beautiful dungeon, 10 out of 10. Pico Picoris, in my opinion.
10 out of 10 people. There's
I mean-
teensy tiny enemies.
Naturally, it's a pretty simple dungeon as the first dungeon of the game, but it was a fun dungeon.
Yeah, I think what I liked about it is that the developers went no holds barred. Like they spared no expense when it came to adding mechanics to the dungeon. They were like, we got everything. We got a rolling barrel. We got these mushrooms that spring back and forth. You grab onto them.
We got a lily pad ride.
We got a lily pad ride that you got to use a special item to propel yourself on.
Yeah.
We got some dust that you got to suck up. It's a whole-
We
it's a
got
whole
vacuuming.
thing. Yeah, right. So I don't know. I just thought that it was cool. I mean, even with the push block puzzles, I mean, I know that that's like a staple of the series, so it's good that they included that. I was a little bit frustrated. There was a puzzle that you had to push a pot onto a switch, and there's no way to pick up a pot and then set it back down.
Yeah.
If you pick up a pot, you have to throw it. Which means
I'll
that
mess
you
that up,
can't
too.
put it on a switch. Like you have to just kind of carefully push the pot if you want to move it, which definitely tripped me up because a lot of 3D titles you're allowed to set things back down.
Yeah. You know the puzzle partway through the dungeon where it was like 5 pots and there was like a small little river in the
Oh,
way
yeah.
and there was like a treasure chest at the bottom that you had to push the button on. I didn't know, and I know this is for like way later in the dungeon, but I didn't know that you would be able to ride down that river at one point. So that entire area tripped me up. I was trying to figure out that puzzle. Like, how can I move these pots to get them to where I need to go and get the treasure chest? I thought I was so dumb. And then I realized like it's just something you couldn't do until later. I was like,
Oh yeah. There was one room that I went into. I activated a treasure chest that was like past a wall and a bunch of water. And then Eslo popped in and he was like, "Huh. Well, that's a head scratcher. I guess we have to go somewhere else."
That was
like,
the basement.
That was the room. That was the
Oh,
room, yeah.
In the basement, he says like, "Yeah, I think that's all we can do here. Well, maybe something else we do will affect this." And then it kind of
Yeah,
just
like-
tries to scoot you out the door.
like maybe we can approach this from a different angle later. And I was like, "All right, Eslo, bet." Let's leave.
I actually really
Yeah.
liked this dungeon. Like I was telling you before, Fonz, I think this is one of my favorite dungeons of the 2D dungeons that, you know, LTTP, the original Zelda. Like they're all square-based dungeons and there's
Yeah.
just like wall and door. I mean, A Link to the Past had like maybe a few gimmicks, but it was mostly like dungeon battler. Whereas I like the gimmick additions to this. Like I even feel like they got the Divine Beast barrel roll puzzle like from this because it was a super good mechanic to like redo. So I really liked it. And it is cool to see that the Dust Bellows didn't start in Skyward Sword. I didn't know that. I thought it was like a Skyward Sword like only
So, yeah.
mechanic.
Yeah, we get the proto Gus bag. Oh, I don't remember what it was called in Skyward Sword. Was it? Gosh,
I think it was the
in
Gus Bellows.
The
The
Gus
dirt
Bellows.
devil.
This one,
the Dirt Devil 9000.
this one, it's the Gus jar. So it's the proto bellows.
Oh, okay. I was getting them mixed up. Yeah.
This
Yeah,
one's the
that's-
Shark Pro.
The
This
Shark
thing
Pro.
is a weapon. I mean, it can suck up pretty much anything. After which I'll talk about. I guess I could just say now, but like after we left this dungeon, I was just out in the overworld, just sucking things up, killing them. This thing is destructive.
Yeah, I mean it's great for use against p-hats out in the overworld. You can just stick an enemy to it and then launch that enemy at other
Mhm.
enemies. It's
It
fantastic.
was wonderful.
And it can
You
also
can
be
suck
used
bats
to
up too.
puff out air in order to move a lily pad boat.
Oh
Which is
baby. I mean, we don't need to talk about the mini boss that we get it from. He was kind of just he was lame. We could skip right over him.
He was Wriggler. I don't know if it was meant to be that similar, but this was the Zelda version of a Wriggler battle.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, interestingly, you smack him in the nose, he changes colors, he reveals a weak spot, and then you run over to his backside and smack that a whole bunch. But then he gets mad. But in order for him to not get mad, you have two options. One is to just stay out of his way until he calms down, and the other option is to just smack him in the nose again, and he'll change back to normal.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, oh yeah, you got to be brave, man.
I just ran.
I know.
Same.
I did that the first time, and then there was a time where I couldn't escape it. Like he was coming right at me, so I just out of like, okay, I can't do anything else. Let me just swing at him, and I did, and he stopped and turned blue again, and I was like, for real?
Hey,
Easy.
Like, okay.
secret
Either the
mechanics.
timing was perfect and it created the illusion, or it worked the way I think it worked. Felt like it worked. But that was a pretty easy fight.
Yeah, it was not bad at all.
Yeah.
And I actually was gonna ask you guys because at some point or the other, I think around the mini boss room, there was like some puzzles that I got mysterious shells from. I don't know if they're legit or not, or what they do. I don't know if we were told what they do yet, but I've got like 20 of them bad boys now, and I'm
Do
I
feeling
got like
good.
60 of them.
Do you want to know what they do, or do you want it to be a mystery?
Oh
Because
man, I like the suspense.
It's not as exciting as you might think.
Oh man, I thought I was doing something cool.
No, I don't know how far into the game it is. Do you guys remember the figurine creator from Wind Waker?
Nope.
Vaguely.
He like lived off of the forest island. You go into his place, you take pictures of enemies, and then you take them to him, and he would make like a little statue with some blurb about the enemy.
Oh,
That
Nope.
guy.
I remember that mechanic.
Yeah. So that character, that model sculptor that you do or don't remember, depending on who I'm talking to, he's back, and he has a gashapon where you exchange mysterious shells for figurines of enemies and characters in the game.
So is Minish Cap just the game that like all other future games borrowed from?
Well, that mechanic would have been borrowed from a mix between that Wind Waker island that I was telling you about, and I want to say Link's Awakening,
True.
where you have.
Oh, I
like,
didn't
the
know that they
random-
was in there.
He's not in that one, but there's like a claw game where you can grab figurines of things. It's a whole thing.
Ah,
No, but Minish Cap definitely does have some cool stuff that like the creativity that went into this game definitely did bleed into future games quite a bit. I mean, partly because the director became like the main director for the series. Remember, this is a Fujibayashi game, so I mean, he's the one who's just making all the games since Skyward Sword too. So, yeah, there's some stuff here you'll definitely see, and you'll be like, hey, they reused that, or hey, they got that from this. But some things that didn't really go forward that I kind of wished did go forward was some of the enemy designs. Like, we talked about the acro bandits last
You
time.
like the macro duck ninjas?
Yeah, they're pretty great. But in this dungeon, can I talk about these little beetles that Tokyo drift around and actually make like ignition noises as they're doing it? Because
That the
I
dudes
think they're
that
my
look like
favorite enemy in the
Garth
game.
from Kirby.
Yes.
I ended all of their careers before they had a chance to do that.
Yeah, they go down quick. If you just stand there and watch them, they put on like a little show. They're not the most aggressive enemy, but they definitely have a whole startup animation that is choice. And
Nice.
these will become an overworld enemy too. Basically, whenever you're in Minish, you can expect to see these guys. But
There's only one thing better than the drift, and it's family.
yeah. Enemies I wasn't too thrilled about. The poison mushroom guys, they were annoying.
Yeah.
I don't know, the slugs just falling from the ceiling were a nuisance. I mean, they weren't hard to deal with. They were just everywhere. Yeah.
They had some
So-
names for things, man, in this game. Like
I didn't like those fly things.
The ones straight out of Pikmin, those ones.
Yeah. Those things would just come at me and hitting them. Like, it only took 2 hits to take them down, but if they're full speeding it at you, you hit them. They don't slow down. They're like, what do you think this is? And they just keep coming at you. A couple times they made it through.
Yeah, those guys were a pain too. They're like,
so
I mean, whenever I see them, I think of Pikmin because that's looks like what the design's based on.
I'm gonna just name a name. I'm gonna play a little game with you guys, and the audience can play in too, of what the enemy name is, and then you're gonna have to tell me in the dungeon what you think that enemy is, and I'm gonna start with the hardest one.
Okay.
Pesto.
You say pesto with a P?
Pesto.
Like
Pesto like the sauce.
pesto like the sauce.
The mushroom.
I guess, Fonz.
I'm gonna, because he already said the mushroom, I'm gonna go with my little drifter beetle.
Drifter beetle. Okay. And then I guess I'll just try one more just to see what you think.
Okay, I might change my answer if it sounds more like a drifting beetle.
All right. We got
Vin Diesel.
Puff Stool.
Oh, that's the mushroom. for
That's the
sure.
mushroom.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we got Slugula over here.
Slugula.
Got to be the yellow slug. I feel like you did start with the hardest one. It seems like.
Yeah. Yeah, so Pesto
Oh, that's the fly, isn't it? Because it's a
is
pest.
the fly.
Ah,
Oh, so what's
Makes
the
no-
beetle?
I actually don't know. I'm trying to find it right now. I think it's Bulldozer.
A moldozer?
Yeah, Bulldozer.
Okay, I like it.
nothing's more important to a bulldozer than family.
Oh no. Oh no. The names they have in this game for their enemies, like they spared no expenses. I mean, aside from like Octoroks and like traditional things, like they spared no expenses with the other ones that were new.
Muldozer, M-U-L-L, dozer.
Mhm. Yeah.
Gotcha. I thought you said mole like the little rodent dude
Oh,
who digs through the
no.
ground. Okay, I like it. So where were we? Talking about how bad pesto is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were bashing on pesto a bit.
Cool.
Still
So
got that sauce.
Pesto is featured on the boat ride, right? Like the lily pad boat ride.
That was the worst part of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like the slugs were falling from the ceiling. Almost all of them missed my boat entirely and just fell right into the water, which I thought was humorous. But pesto was obnoxious. Like you had to stop what you were doing, try to time it out, and not get hit off the thing into the water or just take damage.
Yeah, and it would randomly decide not to. Like, I would stop, look at it, and be like, all right, I'm waiting for you. And he'd be like, dun, 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 just flying around, being a pesto. I'm like, all right, fine, I'm just going to ignore you. Then I'd switch out my weapon, start charging. Oh, what you doing over here, buddy?
Gosh.
Not a fan.
Yeah, and if you fight him with the gust jar, you do like mess up your whole trajectory because the gust jar is still gonna like gust jar gonna gust, you know, like it's got
Gust.
so that was definitely a challenge. I mean, I thought it was a cool kind of cutaway from the main dungeon mechanics. Like it was like, hey, here's a random riverboat ride in the middle of your dungeon, which I was like, all right, and we're kind of mixing it up, changing the pace a little bit with that. But I mean, definitely enjoyed the non-riverboat sections more overall.
If I had to critique it, I would say that maybe it should have kept a little more of the momentum from your gust jar because it felt like I was gusting an awful lot.
I second that.
Does happen.
Yeah, you kind of gotta go nuts on that.
Yeah, but I think what's cool is that they gave you an item in this dungeon, and then that item, like, it wasn't just for one mechanic. It was for upwards of, I don't know, 3 or 4 different mechanics within the dungeon. Between the boat ride, pulling spider webs off of walls,
Grabbing mushrooms from a distance.
grabbing mushrooms from a distance, and then actually being able to combat the poison mushroom dudes. I forget their name already.
Puff stool.
Yeah, fighting the puff stools because you can't really fight them easily otherwise unless you throw a jar at them. But the gust jar, you're able to just like suck all their powder right off of them and then fight them that way.
It's the infinite jar.
But they're immune to swords for the most part unless you do that first. So the gust jar is legit. And one thing I like about this game that we're gonna find is that a lot of the items don't become obsolete after one dungeon. Like they actually do a pretty good job of making the gust jar useful down the road as well. So I'm looking forward to that.
I just plan on using that thing like for the overworld as a weapon.
I'm just gonna give a teaser and not actually say what it is, but the item for our next dungeon is like the best.
Better than the gust jar?
And the game makes you use it everywhere. So
jeez.
the game becomes a whole different space once that happens. No, you'll by the end of the game you'll know what I'm talking about, but
Magic. He's talking
dungeon,
about
you'll have
magic. Nice. I'm excited for it.
Right now, all we got is farts.
Yeah, and that's all we need for this boss.
It's
So
true.
we get our big key and we get to the door, and this to me is hilarious because they take what is a basic enemy that you've already offed like 3 or 4 of on your way here, and they say, "Hey, but what if you were small though?" It'd be a much bigger problem if you were small. And this regular Chu-Chu jumps into the Deepwood Shrine, like right in the meeting zone, and becomes a boss for us to take on.
It's a really
And-
creative idea.
It is.
Yeah. And it's an aggressive boss too. This dude tried to like fall on me a bunch of times.
Yeah, you got hops.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just bouncing around trying to squash you into the ground. I was like, how does he even see me with his eyes up so high? Like I'm a Minish size right now.
Good point.
And he's also the owner of like a plot hole. Because for some reason fighting this thing that wasn't even in the dungeon at first still gets us the the earth crystal.
Yeah.
Like when we finally defeat him, we get the earth element for defeating him, but he wasn't even part of the situation. Like we were supposed to be going in there just to get the element. Normally you'd expect the boss to be a more of a quintessential part of the dungeon, and this is like we literally watched him wander in.
Yeah, it was the most ultra rare holographic foiled Chu-Chu that could have existed, because not only did it drop the earth power, it dropped a heart container. This Chu-Chu dropped 2 items, and they were 2 good ones.
Yeah, like you don't understand. This is the 1,000-year Chu-Chu.
It is.
The 1,000-year Chu-Chu. Gosh.
Yeah, he's
It
legendary.
had gold and platinum inside of it.
Right. Okay.
Maybe he just got done on like a heist mission, like stealing the earth element crystal for his gang, and then he like saw Link like in the through the cracks of the, what did he sift through? I don't remember what he sifted through to like get down to like where you were, but it was like a
He
an
just
open
jumped
grate.
into the grass, basically. It wasn't. You didn't have to sift through much.
Oh, well, because like there was like bubbles, like he like kind of like
Oh,
turned
yeah.
into goo and then like
Well,
formed back
yeah.
up.
From the regular size camera viewpoint, right? He just kind of wanders into the zone and then steps into the grass where you're supposedly are. Like he just goes into the middle of the zone. And then when it comes back to Minish size where you are, it shows like drops, like a bunch of green drops like hit around the battlefield, and then they all come together to morph into it. So there's a little bit of discontinuity, but I don't think he really seeps through anything more than he just falls in from above.
Ah, okay. All right. Well then,
But I get what you're saying.
yeah, he
This
robbed
Chu-Chu got some
this
skill.
thing, and you know he was just coming in for afternoon fight. Thought he could win one over on Link. He didn't know. He thought he was just a little Minish, but he learned.
He saw that
Dang.
awesome and definitely not ugly shield and really wanted it.
That's what this whole fight is about, man. This Chu-Chu, Jeffrey, we'll call him, went and he got the earth element, and then all the other Chu-Chus and all the other Octoroks and P-Hats were like, hey, Jeff got the earth element. Hey, Jeff, go Jeff. Hey, you know what? You earned it, man. Here's a heart container.
Hey,
You're the boss now, man.
Now that Jeff was on top, he wanted more. He saw that teensy tiny shield, and he was like, "All right, I want that too."
Yeah. Jeff came back around. He was like, I'm taking everything.
you on my property?
It's my Deepwood Shrine now.
Everything's my property.
I'm a green ooze. I'm all consuming.
So
What
we
you see is
beat
what I got.
Jeff down mercilessly. I say we beat
did.
Jeff down mercilessly. It was a really fun fight too. Like the concept of sucking away the slime on the bottom of him to make him kind of and then
Yeah, we make him top heavy, and then he splats so we can hit him in the face.
he's always looking to fall on us though.
Right. So you would think, like, with some good timing, you could like maybe roll out of the way and then get a few hits in. But obviously, you wanna take him down if you can. Gust jar is the way to go. But yeah, it was a really good use of that mechanic as well. So I thought it was a good fight. I thought it was decent.
That was pretty good too.
decent.
Yeah. So yeah, we get through this. We get our earth element, which is, according to the game, the power of the earth is the source of all living things, and that power is manifested in this earth crystal. So we got the power of being the source of all living things, I suppose.
We obtained life.
We are Gaia.
Amazing. So if you got the 2 free heart pieces on the way here, and then the 2 that were in the dungeon, and then the 1 full container from this boss, you will now have 5 full hearts. And it will be amazing.
Oh no, I must have missed one because I only have 4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
No.
Same, bro.
I missed backtrack.
Did you get the teleporter one?
I got
don't-
the one from.
There was
let's see.
2 in the dungeon.
Yeah, I got the 2 in the dungeon, and I got the one in the village.
Oh, you didn't get the one in the woods.
Oh no!
How'd you miss the one in the woods, my guy?
I thought I got the one in the woods.
That
Do
was
I have
episode
5
1.
hearts? I gotta check now. I'm
You might have
confused.
5 hearts. All right. So we get this. We come back out. Fastari's doing his best Steven impression from Gen 1 Pokemon. Where he's like, yo, you beat that gym? That's crazy. Sorry, I had to make that reference because it's just, he has the glasses and everything. I just remember he might even be in the first 2 gens of Pokemon where Steven was like at every gym telling you how good you were and how Gary was going through before you. Or whoever your rival was, you know what I mean. But you come out, he's like, wow, you took care of that and you got the Earth element. That's awesome. He doesn't really have anything else to share with you. So, if you head back outside, you'll find some Minish. Some of them just I say exactly what they said the first time. But there is a new guy who's blocking the way you came into town. And he's got this like cart of plants. And he basically says, we sneak pico blooms to areas near where the humans live. Having some of it makes you completely lucky. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, what are you trying to say? Like, basically, they have a good luck plant that I believe is just clover, right? Maybe. Not sure. If it's the plant that they're living in, then it would just be clover. But pico blooms is what they called it. And I think his real purpose is just to keep us from going back the way we came. The game kind of wants us to make our way back to town a different way. We go back to the Elder, and the Elder commends our courage, tells us that our next step will be to go to Mount Krenel. And he will send word to Malari in advance, Malari being the dude who has 7 apprentices and is going to fix the sword, hopefully. Eventually. So, yeah. I mean, there's one other Minish who's impressed that we defeated all the monsters in the Northern Shrine. So the Minish are just loving us. They're loving humans in general as a concept now because we just came and helped them out, I guess. Did some fantastic feat of strength by clearing out the monsters. And then we start heading out to the west of the Minish village. Immediately upon exiting the village, there is another little Minish hut that we haven't seen before. I'm sorry, like the Elder opens a new door for us to leave through. So you go through
goes
there.
through his bedroom.
Right, goes through his bedroom, goes outside to his neighbor's house, basically. And this was, to me, there was a little bit of a hiccup in the continuity here. Because I go into that house and you talk to this Minish. His name is Bellari, not to be confused with Malari, who we're trying to find. And Bellari tells us that he's heard so many tales about us. He's like, "Are you the human that cleared out the Northern Shrine and got the Earth element? I've heard so many tales about you." I'm like, "This just happened, Bellari."
News travels fast.
What are you talking about? So many tales. Like, who? All right. But he gives us bombs. He straight up is like, yeah, if you're trying to make it back to town, it's going to be hard because there's a lot of rubble in the way. You're going to need these, and he gives us bombs, which is so confusing because he's a Minish and we're tiny, and we don't have to get rid of the rubble until we're big. So, like, how did that all work? Like, how did he have that kind of foresight? It's just questions. So many questions.
There's little baby problems they got to clear out. I don't know.
The Goron from the construction site was walking by going, "Oh, all this rubble everywhere."
Little baby problems call for little baby bombs.
Yeah. So
I didn't even think about it, but yeah, you're totally right. Also, like, would the bombs even scale up with you when you got big? Because you got them when you were small in the first place. I don't know. That's
Right, like there's some kind of lore here. Like when you're talking about like the kinstone guy who's like, oh yeah, we leave kinstones for the humans because it makes them happy.
Mm-hmm.
There's some kind of lore built in similar to that where the Minish are known for leaving more than just kinstones around. Like they leave all kinds of things. Like I
they're
think
blooms.
I think the way it works is that they're responsible for like rupees being in the grass when you cut the grass. Like the Minish put those rupees there. So like they kind of transcend Zelda in a way. But I don't know where I heard that and why I think that. It may have been a result of listening to the Book of Medora podcast. I'm not sure because I haven't seen it in the text of the game aside from the Kinstone thing.
I have a couple problems with this theory right out the bat. Problem one, those rupees are way bigger than those little guys. How'd they get them there? And if they could make things big, how did they make them big? And two, if this really was true, we would see rupees all over Florida.
I like the second part.
Oh, all they got is armadillos.
I mean, we got some big iguanas. Maybe they made those big.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
the
think
wild
maybe
stuff
the
all over
tree-
Florida.
You're gonna have to talk us through that on one of these intros.
What?
It's Florida life in general.
Oh,
Going
you know,
outside and seeing an iguana. Because
you know,
why not?
Yeah, you go out in the morning. You're like, I'm gonna take my car to get some coffee from Starbucks, and you start driving, and then you get out, and you're like so excited. I can't wait to get my cold brew nitro caramel coffee cream, and you walk out, and then like a 3.5 foot iguana just kind of runs out like he just stole something, and then like his pants fell off in the middle of like a crowd of like 100 people, and he ran like, oh my god, because that's how they run. I don't understand how they run like they've seen the
just-
scariest stuff in the entire world all at once. Like
They don't-
life's
they don't-
mysteries
Oh,
opened up to them.
you got them sprinters down there up on two
Mhm.
legs, just
Not even 2 legs. They're on like 3.5. Like,
Yeah,
they're those, like-
they don't walk. They just panic places.
Yeah, it's really weird. If you like see one run, like go watch like YouTube videos of iguanas running. It's the weirdest thing. They run like the universe's answers all came into their head at once. It's so
Gotcha.
funny. But yeah, it's fun.
All right.
What I was gonna say was about the Minish was the tree stumps. Like I feel like the Minish have like this enchanted zone. And like obviously you need Minish magic to make things bigger. So like no random human can just go up to this tree and be like, I'm gonna become small. Like you need Ezlo or like a Minish for like the magic to work. So I'm thinking like maybe the Minish just kind of like go up to the tree thing and then like make something big. And then maybe they like Pikmin it to like wherever they want it to go. I mean, they don't have to go far because there's like trees all over the world, right? So like they could probably like go to like the nearest tree of where they want to put it and then just Pikmin it the rest of the way.
Just imagining like an orange rupee with like 49 out of 50 Minish. Like, right? Like they gotta get another Minish in there to pick it up and carry it where they're going. Like seeing the little fraction above the item.
John, get over here. We're missing one. Come on.
Yeah.
But another thing that I ran into, which is after the bomb bag guy, is there's a Minish like across the gap when you get out into the overworld. I think it's like Hyrule Field. And so I went over there. I went to go talk to him. And he's like this guy sitting in front of this giant rock. Like thing's huge. And he's like, oh, hey, how you doing? This is a kinstone. Well, you don't have one? You don't know what they are? Well, come back when you have one. And I'll tell you all about them. I'm like,
Yeah.
one, you can't just tell me right now. Like, we're both here. Two,
Right. You could show it to me. Like, what's going on?
I did come back with one once I got one. And he still is like, oh, well, hello there. This here's a kinstone. Why don't you come back when you have one? And I'm like, I do.
Oh, yeah. The kinstone system. We're about to learn about it. So I had the same initial experience with this guy. I haven't been back to his hut yet. I don't have a free kinstone. But he definitely has this moment of like, hey, check out this cool kinstone I have. Wait, you don't know what kinstones are? Well, come back when you have one. Like, he doesn't help you at all, but he just kind of name drops kinstones. But with the clever use of I don't know, let's just say bombs and cutting down weeds and whatever else we need, maybe a springy mushroom, we make our way back to town. And one of the first things we can do is learn about kinstones. This is actually the last thing I did before I stopped playing. Kim, I don't know if you played this far. Figured I should ask before
No,
throwing down the kinstone lore.
I got the bombs, and then I got to like a cave a little ahead of the bombs, and that's where I stopped.
Gotcha. Cave had some mysterious shells in it, I bet.
It did, and a couple keys.
Them keys are in my vacuum right now.
Hey,
So,
saving them for later.
do you want to experience this for yourself, or are you okay if we kind of just talk through what happens when you get back to town?
Yeah, fine. Just spoil it.
All right. It's one interaction, and you'll probably enjoy it just as much knowing it as you would if you had happened on it without us saying anything. It's not that big a deal.
It's pretty great.
But it's the introduction to the kinstone system. So you get back in town, you find out that the construction workers did a lot more than just open up town. Like town is bigger than it was for the Picori Festival. That's the real spoiler here, is that when you get back, it's like, oh, there's so many more places to go. I didn't go to any of them yet, so I'm not going to talk about any of them yet. But when you first walk in, this man in a blue suit and blue top hat with some clover sticking out of it, he's got like a cart just full of stuff, comes walking up and he's like, hey, are you here for your free kinstone bag? It's free for all the kids today right now. And he gives you a kinstone bag. And then he's like, let me explain something to you. Everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people have kinstones. And if they're ready to do a kinstone fusion, you'll see this bubble with a heart above their head, like I have right now, right? And it shows you that on the screen. Like, he gets this little bubble with a heart, which means he's ready for a kinstone fusion. And he's like, now that you have a kinstone bag and a kinstone, why don't you try it out? And you can, like, press the L button to open up the kinstone menu and pair your kinstone with his. And when you do that, it opens up like a secret cave next to the Master Smith's house, and you can go down there and get mysterious shells, probably. I don't remember what was in the cave. But yeah, you're gonna find that a lot in this game, is that if you're not really interested in the figurine process, a lot of the rewards you get are mysterious shells, and it'll get to a point where it will annoy you. So just be prepared for that.
Let's skip every extra thing.
Don't skip every extra thing, but if you want, I can, point out some of the cooler ones. But we'll get there. We're not there yet. And so he goes through this whole explanation of what kinstone fusion is. So basically, it is an excuse for NPC interaction to yield rewards. So throughout the game, defeating enemies, doing certain side quests, even doing a kinstone fusion, some of the rewards that you will get for those actions are kinstones. There'll be a bakery at some point where you can buy a baked good and eat it, and when you eat it, you get a kinstone.
Whoa.
So yeah, like, save them rupees,
Better than a kidney stone.
So you get the kinstone, you find an NPC who is looking for some kind of interaction, dialogue, what have you. Sometimes you get like a cool conversation with an NPC out of it as well.
The dude,
Usually it'll open up a cave or some secret entrance that you didn't know about, and inside you'll find some kind of reward.
I don't know about like looking for a conversation. I remember the guy who explained it was like, if anyone's ready for a kinstone fusing, all you got to do is find the glitter in their eye, and they're ready for a few. I'm like, what is this? What glitter? These
Yeah,
are pixels, dude.
he actually was talking about the speech bubble, the glimmer in their eye or whatever,
Oh,
glitter in
okay.
their eyes. Like that was just to say like you got to find people who who want to do a kinstone fusion. So the little Picori that we met should have that speech bubble, and you go up and you press the L button and open the kinstone menu. You got to see if you have the matching kinstone. And if you do, you can pair it with his. They're all circular shapes with like a cut through them. So it's just a two-piece puzzle every time.
Maybe mine didn't
So
match then because I found another kinstone piece in Hyrule Town, which is where I got my second one. There's like one somewhere in one of the buildings. So I ran back to him, but I couldn't do anything.
yeah. And that's the other thing about kinstone fusions. If you were going to try to do a completionist run of this game, you would find that a lot of the ways you obtain kinstones yield random results. It's RNG. You don't know what kinstone you're going to get when you do the action that gets you a kinstone. So every time you go to do a kinstone fusion, you have to hope you have the right shape. And if you do, it spends it. But the shapes repeat. Like other characters will have the same shapes. So there'll be times when you have a kinstone and you have to say, is this somebody that I think is going to reward something nice? Or do I want to save this piece for the next guy who wants, the square cut circle thing? And it becomes a whole thing. Or you'll spend it and then you'll see another person who wants the same one. So then you got to grind out kinstones until you get the right shape and bring it back to them. It's one of the more complicated NPC systems that I think has ever been in a Zelda game. It's got its charms, but at the same time, there will definitely be NPCs where you're like, oh man, I finally got the kinstone, and then you fuse, and then they reveal a treasure chest, and you go to the treasure chest, and it's another kinstone, and you're like, why?
Trading up.
Infinite kinstone loop.
$1 kinstone versus $100 kinstone.
You would hope, right? But I don't know, man. It's a lot. I cannot say that I've done all the kinstone missions. There is one specific one later in the game that I'm gonna try to do again this time because it was worth it. But yeah, kinstones. They're gonna become a big background scheme in our conversation. We'll probably have a kinstone corner and be like, anybody find any good kinstones? And then see what
The kinstone
we
corner.
came across.
What'd you get? Got some dirt. What'd you get? Got some shells.
Welcome to the Kinstone Corner Cafe. Grab a drink, sit down with your kinstone, have a little tea party with your kinstone, invite your friends over, fuse some kinstones. Great time, great atmosphere.
Maybe you'll find a match.
I rescued some chickens in town too.
Oh snap! You started doing all the fun side stuff. All right, cool.
Yeah, I don't know what we're talking about next episode. I don't know if we're what it entails, but I did some Hyrule Town stuff. It was fun. I still talked to Anja.
Right.
I think her name is Anja.
Right. So in our schedule of things, we've already kind of broken some of our stuff. I mean, our next episode we were going to talk about Mount Krenel and possibly go all the way to the Cave of Flames. I feel like that's too much for one episode. We might have to do the run up and then do like the next dungeon, which is not called what I just said, but might be called what I just said.
Or we do a 2-hour-long special mega episode.
No.
Okay.
But we actually had an episode at least kind of sketched out for an overworld, just like what we found so far and what we've done so far in town, things like that. But we don't have to do it that way. We could just do an episode about like some random stuff that we did, and then the run up to the next major area, kind of like we did, like the Picori Festival and going through the Minish Woods, as an episode. So we could be like, oh, our first visit into town, this is what we were able to manage, and then we went up to the next dungeon, but we stopped before we went in, that kind of thing. But we'll talk about that offline, I guess. Figure out how we want to handle that. This time, I stopped at the Hurdy-Gurdy Man, and I decided to save and quit there, and then I would do some town stuff and some further adventuring for our next episode.
Hurdy-gurdy.
Right. So I guess before we close out, there's one more thing to say about that Hurdy-Gurdy Man. So this was actually first posited by the Hello Hyrule podcast. They saw this Hurdy-Gurdy Man and noticed the unique shape of his face. Because he doesn't look like the other NPCs in Hyrule Town. And he has proportions that seem a little bit more consistent with that of a Minish. And they came up with a theory that the Hurdy-Gurdy Man is actually a human-sized Picori who has taken to basically, trying to forward the whole kinstone system, because the Minish created and leave around the kinstones. So he's basically trying to promote that whole thing. But really their theory, I think, kind of ended with, is he a Minish? Because he kind of looks like he might be one in disguise. And I love this idea. And I'm just going to go ahead and assume that, yes, that is exactly what's happening. Because to me, that just makes sense. And I think it's kind of funny. Doesn't affect the game at all, but it's a cool detail to note that he kind of does have a triangle face rather than like a round face like everyone else. It's silly.
He's hiding them ears.
No, it's kind of funny you'd say that, because when you introduced him as the guy that wasn't there before, but now he is after you've been to the Minish, my immediate first thought in the back of my head was, I bet this guy is only visible to people that can see the Minish. My guy's a Minish. But it was like a joke thought in the back of my head that just faded into oblivion. But it's funny that you brought up a whole thing. I'm just like, oh, that silly little thought I had back then is actually something that people thought of.
I mean,
Nice.
if you look at his pixel art, hold on.
I haven't
That's
seen
that
him yet.
Clover. I have him up right now. Put him in the private
Look
chat.
at his face. Does that not look like the Minish face?
His name is actually Hurdy-Gurdy Man.
I mean, the
Yeah.
fact alone that he has a Clover is sus.
Do you see the way his eyes are positioned by his nose, and like his ears go out super wide?
And how he's dressed in like one very vibrant color, like how all of them are dressed in pretty much either red or green. And then he's just all super blue.
And the kids follow him, but I don't think any of the adults even acknowledge his existence.
I mean, it literally does say
From what
that
we
his race
understand.
is Minish on this.
There you
It
go.
does. It does.
His race is Minish, so confirmed.
Confirmed, I guess.
I probably
Wonder
shouldn't.
if he has his feather behind him, or if it's like he hides it in the box. He must, right?
Or maybe he
Maybe.
chooses to not have the feather get big so it's easier to blend in. I don't know how much control they have over it.
I probably shouldn't have like looked this far ahead because I just spoiled something for myself. But he looks like a mountain Minish, 100%. People don't realize because they got blonde
Whoa.
hair or
Spoilers.
blonde. Like,
I didn't know there were Minish in the mountains.
oh come on.
Nobody's mentioned it yet.
Nobody's mentioned it.
Mission to the mountains? What? We don't have no mission to the mountains. What are you talking about?
So the other thing I just have to mention, because I did just see this, and now I have to look up the lyrics. Apparently, Hurdy-Gurdy Man is a song by Scottish singer-songwriter Donovan, and I don't know. I just want to see if it's at all related to this.
I just want to say that Nintendo's naming conventions are probably all-time top tier, because we have Hurdy-Gurdy Man over here in Minish Cap, but then the guy in the Ocarina of Time who was playing the phonograph is Phonograph Man. Best naming conventions ever.
They get some real bangers.
Phonograph Man, Hurdy-Gurdy Man. Oh goodness, the lyrics are ridiculous. Doesn't really. I mean, if you were to look it up, it has nothing to do with the Minish Cap or anything like related to it. But it's basically just a dude who comes about singing songs of love, apparently, and he sings hurdy-gurdy, hurdy-gurdy, hurdy-gurdy. So, you know, some fun folk tune. Wow. All right. So don't bother looking that up, I guess, if you don't care that much. But I was curious. There is a song called Hurdy-Gurdy Man. And he has
Also,
it's not a true reference at all.
Also, super side note of someone who also might be a Minish. When I was exploring the Hyrule Field, when I came out of the Minish Woods, there's a Tingle looking dude. I think he's wearing like, I think it was pink, if I'm not mistaken. And like, that dude has the pointed ears like the Minish. And I'm like, it's Tinkle Minish confirmed.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I didn't think you would find one of them this early in the game.
Oh, I did.
You couldn't actually get to him yet, though, could you?
No, but I saw him.
You'll learn about that. That's the Kinstone mission I was gonna tell you about later in the game.
Oh,
He's one of the characters.
Does that mean that like Tingle is confirmed Floridian though?
No. I mean, listen, if the shoe fits, man.
Oh, it does. He'd be up to some wild and stuff.
All right. Cool. I think that's all we got for this episode, though. Thank you all for listening to our episode of A4NB4Y. If you'd like to follow along with the game, some options you could have. It is currently live on the Nintendo Switch Online Plus package that includes the Game Boy Advance games. I am playing it on a Wii U. If you have it from either the 3DS or Wii U before those shops went down, you might still have it there. Otherwise, it was a Game Boy Advance title. There's not too many other ways to play it, unless you want to try some other kind of programming, I suppose. So,
what are you talking about, matey?
yeah, I don't know what you mean, man. Nintendo released it for the Galaxy S23.
I don't think that was Nintendo, my guy. So. Yeah, I mean we're trying to go chapter by chapter. It's a great game. We've been loving it. I mean, we're only so far in, but definitely be on the lookout for it, I guess. Otherwise, we will get back to this for our venture to Mount Krenel in a few weeks. So hopefully we can catch you next time on A4NB4Y.
Don't forget to stay up on those amino acids and omega-3, brothers.
Did you get all that? Oh, that was the other thing. The hurdy-gurdy man said, "Did you catch all that?" At the end of his spiel.
He said the thing.
He
He
said
said the thing. He prophesied A for no, B for yes.
He's omnidirectional.
He's omnidirectional. Get out of my chat.
Omni-omeletable.
You know what I meant.
I know, but it was funnier that you didn't say what you meant.
Omniscient. Omnidirectional just makes it all the more better.
I like
Those
how
are the
omni
ways.
everything is an actual term.